I never expected that my mother-in-law and I would have such an unexpected encounter. This time, during a business trip to Dallas, I had the opportunity to stay in a beautiful hotel, all expenses for which were covered by the company. It happened to be the same city where my mother-in-law Stella lived with her new husband Charlie, who was a little younger than her. We decided to meet and spend a nice evening at one of the local restaurants, enjoying good food, wine, and fascinating conversations about life. Stella was full of energy, and Charlie occasionally had to restrain her. As the evening wore on, we enjoyed drinking the local wine, and around 11 o'clock, we decided it was time to head home. I caught a local cab and headed to the hotel, feeling a little under the weather after meeting the local women. The wine was starting to take effect on me, but then the unexpected happened. The doorbell rang, and to my surprise, the porter informed me that a lady named Stella was asking for me. Without hesitation, I told the porter to let her in. Stella was a stunning woman, strikingly similar to my wife, Victoria, despite the age difference. I knew my mother-in-law liked to chat, but I couldn't understand why she'd come to my hotel late at night and drunk. While she went upstairs, I quickly grabbed a bottle of champagne from the minibar, trying to anticipate the reason for her visit, but I couldn't guess. I wanted a drink, but I feared I wouldn't be able to have a normal conversation with her. So I decided to have a smoke and then went to brush my teeth. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, I saw a woman of extraordinary beauty standing in front of me. I could tell from her appearance that she was upset and had come for something serious, not for the youthful fantasies I had imagined. It turned out that she'd had a fight with her husband, Charlie, and had come to me for distraction and comfort. I let my drunken male imagination run wild. However, since she is my mother-in-law, I thought we could have a glass of champagne. I offered the drink, and she responded by calling her husband a fool who was jealous of her of all men, including the cab driver who drove them home. This reminded her of her first husband, who was also overly jealous, which led to their breakup. She admitted to a little cheating, but he never found out about it. Now Charlie is just as jealous. She asked me why this happens and why men can't explain it in a manly way, their jealousy. My dear mother-in-law, it's simple. You are an incredibly beautiful and captivating woman. That's what men are crazy about. After my words, Stella blossomed, her shoulders straightened, a blush appeared on her cheeks. Do you really think so, son-in-law? Of course, mother-in-law. From the first time I met you, I was enchanted by your beauty. You simply enchanted me. I answered with a grin. Give us another drink, son-in-law. You have lifted my mood. Now my soul wants to celebrate. And she and I celebrated so much that everything ended with adult night races. And in the morning, we woke up in the same bed, or rather, I woke up first, from the ringing of my mother-in-law's phone. A little later, Stella woke up and looked at the phone. It was her husband, Charlie. She didn't answer, and I didn't know what to say to her in this awkward situation. But the mother-in-law, apparently as experienced in such matters, took everything into her own hands, saying that nothing terrible happens. The main thing, son-in-law, keep your mouth shut, and no one will know about our little blunder. And that's how it was. Somehow, I think that the next time I meet my mother-in-law, we will discuss this incident. I left Dallas shortly after that awkward morning with my mother-in-law Stella. We didn't discuss what had happened, only she asked me to keep quiet about our little gaffe, as she called it. I was relieved to get out of there and looked forward to putting it all behind me. A few months later, my company sent me on another business trip to Dallas. I thought about asking to go to another city, not wanting to risk another encounter with Stella. But in the end, I had to suck it up and go. Just in case, I booked a room at another hotel on the other side of town. The first couple days of the meeting went by without any surprise visits. On the third night, I went back to the hotel bar after dinner. It was crowded, but I immediately noticed Stella sitting on a stool in a tight red dress. My pulse quickened, and I wondered if I should run away before she saw me. But it was too late. She smiled coquettishly and waved at me. I reluctantly joined her at the bar. "Nice to meet you here," she said, clearly already a little tipsy. She handed me her room key. "I'm in room 412. Why don't you have a nightcap with me?" Before I could protest, she had already scurried away, sure that I would follow her. My mind was telling me to avoid her room, but my body obviously had other ideas. The next moment, I was already knocking on 412's door, feeling a familiar thrill when Stella met me in a silk robe showing off her long legs. "I've missed you, son-in-law," she purred, pulling me to her. All my restraint vanished as we collapsed into bed together. Thus began several months of romantic dates as I drove through Dallas. Stella would text me, and I'd make up some work obligation to sneak out and meet her at her house. The adventures were explosive. Obviously, this wasn't her first affair of this nature. From time to time, I was overcome with guilt over betraying my wife Victoria again. But I told myself that it was a purely physical affair and that Victoria could never know. Late one night, as we lay on the bed, Stella told me she was leaving Charlie. "I want us to be together for real," she declared. "You'll get a transfer to Dallas. I'll divorce Charlie, and we'll finally have the life we both want." Her confession caught me off guard. Although everything was fine at night, I wasn't about to leave my wife for Stella. But she persisted, alternately crying and screaming when I told her no. I quickly got dressed and left, blocking her number. A week later, Victoria called me hysterically, sobbing that her mother had told her everything. Grief-stricken, I confessed my adventures and apologized to Victoria. When the screaming and tears subsided, she agreed to undergo psychotherapy before deciding to divorce. At the first session, Victoria revealed that Stella had been sleeping with her sons-in-law and boyfriends for a long time. Apparently, she seduced them when she was drunk and then relentlessly pursued them afterward. This wasn't the first time she tried to ruin Victoria's relationships. While this does not excuse her actions, this context helped repair her relationship with Victoria. After months of counseling, she forgave me. However, her relationship with Stella remains strained. We moved to distance ourselves from her mother's toxic influence. As for Stella, we hear she dumped Charlie and found a new, much younger guy at her country club to sink her claws into. I just feel sorry for the poor guy, and am thankful I was able to escape.